Hello everyone. Hope everyone is good. So today we learn what is the introduction of Docker and I also explain you some key components and some main features of the Docker. So let's start with the introduction to Docker. So what is actually the Docker? Like we already have lot of tools and concepts in the DevOps, Docker, Jenkins, Kubernetes, Ansible, Terraform. So there are total lots of concepts. So Docker is the actually the thing which most widely used for the containerization. Even Kubernetes also used for containerization, but Docker is more basic. So everyone uses Docker in their organizations in their regular day-to-day practice. So what is Docker? Docker is actually a open source technology. So Docker automates the and scaling the management of the application using the container. That's why it is a containerization technology or the tool you can say. Because Docker allow it speed up the functionality or you can say the development of the application, because a Docker component that helps the developer to package their application irrespective of any programming language. Means the Docker isn't dependent on any programming language. Like if we talk about the Spring Boot, that is you can use Java or Kotlin. If we talk about the Django, it is a Python base. If we talk about the React JS, Next.js, that is a JavaScript base. So everyone that those are the programming languages and their framework that have the interdependability in there, but Docker is independent of this. Similar to the Jenkins, Jenkins is also a DevOps tool. So these tools, DevOps tools, are irrespective of the programming language. Means either you created your project in the Java, .NET, React JS, JavaScript. So if you want to deploy your application to the cloud or to server, so you can use the Docker. It doesn't mean that if that particular language doesn't support Docker, so you can't proceed. You can proceed. Docker also helpful in the software development. Means whenever you create any project, so Docker is a containerized application. So Docker helps you to because whenever containerization mean, because whenever the developer start its project, it automates everything in its container. Means if you want to work on a Java project or any JavaScript project, that but suppose like Java is not installed on your system and you want to work on create one application which is made up of the Java programming. So you can install your Docker desktop, and inside the Docker desktop you can install the Java programming as a you can pull the image, Java image from the Docker official website. I will show you in next few minutes what is that official website. So that are actually the images, the Docker. We can pull that images. Like if we want to install Java, we can use that. If suppose Jenkins itself is a DevOps tool, suppose Jenkins also is not installed on system, so you can pull the official image of the Jenkins also, and that comes in your containerize, and then you can use the Jenkins feature on your machine. So that's why developer don't have to worry about the configuration in setting the environment variables and rest of the things. So main focus is to just start the building your application logic, either for backend or front end, whatever you are working. Rest is a Docker enhance. In this way we enhance the speed of the developer, reducing the conflicts. Because suppose if we have a large team about 50 peoples, and 20 people are new coming to your team. You earlier have only 30 people team, so now 20 people are coming. If your project manager or anything manages uh, take the status one by one, have you installed those configuration, have you complete that conflict, so it would be a very time taken. So Docker reduces this effort, because whenever any new developer come to team, we can send him our Docker file. So he just run that file, and then he able to all those things comes in its Docker container under Docker desktop, and he is ready to develop. So lot of time we can save with the help of the Docker. That's why Docker is top trending technology. So now we talk about some key component. Docker have some key component like Docker engine, Docker image. That is, Docker image is a read-only template for container, Docker container running instances. So lot of things. Let's come to some key components of the Docker. So because Docker as we now discuss some introduction, now I came to the some key components. So first is Docker engine. So what is Docker engine? Docker engine actually is a containerized application which enhance the performance, because whenever we pull any image, Docker image, that is nothing. When we run that image, that is becomes the container. So Docker engine is the built-in, like you can say, the core functionality of the Docker, which speed up the performance of the container, efficient, make it scalable, this kind of features. Next is Docker CLI command. Sometime someone not have the Docker desktop. If you have, that is a better choice, but if you not have, you can use WinSCP or some other software through which you can use the Dockers. But Docker CLI is the tool, like we have a CMD in our Windows, like that. So where you can run the command line interface, it's a command line interface where you can run complex commands, so you can automate your tasks, integrate seamlessly into your regular project and workflows. So that is the purpose of Docker CLI command. Next we come to the Docker Compose. Remember, this is important feature, Docker Compose, because Docker Compose is the thing which manages the multi-container. Multi-container application means, suppose your application currently you working on the local, then you deploy to the development server, then you deploy to the testing QA server, then you deploy to the pre-production, then to production. In this way, you have a lot of environment. So it helps you to managing your containers of the same application on that, because define and run complex setup with a single configuration file, because you have a same file but only you are running on different environments. So that thing is managed by the Docker Compose. Next we come to the Docker build, because whenever you have the Docker file, so you run that file, it goes to registry. If you deploy it directly on the Docker official website, else it is in local, then that's good. So whenever it comes into run, that is actually the building of that Docker file. It enables you to package and build your code so that you can ship to anywhere. That I tell you just few minutes earlier, like any new developer come, we can just give him our Docker file, so he will run in its own machine and he is ready to proceed in the team, because he is now complete with all the setups. Everything whatever he need, he already have. Except this, now it is Docker Swarm, one component. Just 1 minute I discuss about the Docker Compose. So inside the Docker Compose, internally uses Docker Swarm. It is actually a orchestrator tool that allow you to manage and deploy the containers. Docker Compose manages, but Docker Swarm it is the orchestration tool that deploy your contain, that helps to the management, Docker management, to deploy that different of your application container to different environment, like development, pre-production, production, rest of things. After this, we also have one. This is the Docker volume. Docker volume is actually the advanced concept, you can say, because it not comes under the basics. Actually, I have just mentioned in the introduction, because you see in the lot of videos also, someone or higher professionals with lot great experience, they talk about the Docker volume. Docker volume is actually a robust solution for doing some, you can say, management, migration of the data, portability, sharing containers data, not proper whole container but data of the container, so those kinds of things. So these are some key components of the Docker. So even though there are a lot of more component, I have covered only some important components in this introduction video. So for rest of component, you can follow some official website. Now I came to some core components of the Docker. Earlier I covered key component. Now I will come to the core component. Basically, there are four main core components of the Docker. Docker is a DevOps tool, so it has four core components. One is the Docker file. What is Docker file? Docker file is nothing but it is just a, you can say, a file, not proper simply we can say a text file, but with it definitely it has extension dt docker, but it contains some commands. Next is the Docker image. After image we have Docker registry. Registry is the, you can say, the server or the official website, and image is nothing. When we build our file, it comes to the Docker image. So Docker image then deploy to registry, and after registry, when we run our image, we pull first we do pull docker pull image, and when its image comes into play, it's run, it is become the container. That is actually, if I show you diagrammatically, it is like this. So this is docker file, and this is docker file. When we build it, it becomes the docker image that I told you. If image, when you push that image to, if you have that image, if you using directly, you can skip this registry option. So then directly, because you write your image on, you can directly use it to make a docker container. But if you want to publish that image to docker official registry, you can do it. And when you pull, you have to use that, you have to pull that image, and then you are good to proceed, and then that time your image will become the docker container. Suppose I create one image and I push that image to docker registry, and you at your side, or suppose my friend has to use that image, so he will pull that image from the docker registry, and after pulling that image in his own docker desktop or in on machine, so when he pull that image, and he run that image, that will become the docker container in his machine. That's it. So that is the architectural flow of the Docker, how Docker works, and what what are the things we conclude. Docker file, Docker image, Docker registry, Docker container, key component we include, like Docker Swarm, Docker Compose. So all those things is comes under a bit of introduction. So I explain you as much as I can in deep. So I don't think you found any video who explain you architectural also within the introduction. So I make it clean so you can understand as much as I can. Comes to the, this is the, now we comes to the Docker Hub. That is the server, you can say, or the official website where if you create your own built-in images, so you have to, you can use that Docker Hub. It is a central registry which we are talking about. So here you can see like Grafana, PHP dumper, Selenium. So every technology, Neo4j, so every technology, Nginx, every technology images you can found here, and you can pull that images and you can use. If you come to type Docker in the Google, you come to know the first link, www.docker.com. That is the official website of the Docker. If you click here, you come to the Docker official website. So here you can also traverse and know something about Docker Desktop, Docker Hub. So you can install also. There are some, you can once go through, so you can come to know download the Docker, how you come to, how you know to download. So everything is there. This is the get Docker documentation, so you can download Docker Desktop, Mac, Linux, everything you want. So that's it. Now if we come to summarize the topic, so let's come to summarize what we have discussed in this video. So first we discuss about the introduction to Docker. What is Docker? Why we need? Like I told you, it is the automation, helps in automation. It helps to developer to ready to go. No need to do manual configurations, because that thing we can achieve by running our Docker file to Docker container, and developer is ready to go. After that, we discuss some key components of the Docker, like Docker Compose, Docker Engine, Docker CLI, Docker Swarm, that thing. And after that, we discuss some core components of the Docker. Basically there are four main components, out of which third component is the optional: Docker file, Docker image, Docker registry, and Docker container. Docker registry is the thing, if you want to, if you are pulling the image from the central registry, official central registry of the Docker, that thing you don't have in your local. But if you have that image in your local, then you can directly run, so it will comes to your Docker container. After that, I show you the flow from Docker file image to how it's become the container. Means file is the first step and container is, you can say, the last step. So how I can show, I have show you in the diagram, so how the things are working. So that's it for the video. If you like, please like, share and comment, and if you have any doubt, please comment it out. I will try to resolve your comment. Thank you, thanks for the time.